Give you a great example of how I have to work. All right. Our old friend Scott Holter, he was a longtime musical contributor.
Yes.
And he moved to Crazy Town, Seattle.
He was a good friend of mine when he lived here. Him and his brother are both still listeners.
Right. He says, "Hi, Such. More news from Crazy Town. I always think that what we're doing here in the state of Washington, you'll soon be doing in Minnesota, or vice versa. Say hi to the fellas, all right?" Here's what he sent me, and I verified it, because I quite seriously thought, I can't be too careful. I thought it was from the Babylon Bee. And in fact, the site he linked me to, I could not get it to print, so I went, well, here's the story. School board passes disciplinary policy that considers race before punishing students.
Oh, my God.
It's from Tacoma, Washington, and I got this from the national desk of KHO Radio. Como News, KOMO News.
Yep, that's a big station there. Yep.
Tacoma, Washington. A Washington State School Board adopted a revised student discipline policy last week, telling school officials to take students' race into account when determining their punishment. The policy amendment passed the Clover Park School District School Board on a 3-2 vote. It's allegedly in line with state law passed in 2021 that compels school districts across Washington to identify or develop and periodically update governance training programs that align with cultural competency, diversity, equity, and inclusion standards for school director governance. And again, I thought this can't be true. I verified it on 10 sites, which I have to do. This is so preposterous.
How preposterous is it?
In a video of the March 14 school board meeting when the revised disciplinary policy was passed, board member Anthony Vilas asked for an example of what the so-called cultural discipline might look like. Essentially, they are referring there that you look at, are you dispersing discipline across ethnicities, the racial groups equitably, explained Deputy Super Brian Laubach. So are you disciplining African-American boys more than you're disciplining white boys? The amended policy did not pass without pushback. 2 members voted against it, questioning the meaning and fairness of culturally responsive discipline and arguing there was a need to better define the terms of the new policy.
And they were labeled racist when they did so.
Let's say we both commit the same offense. Then the question should be, what are the consequences of that offense, and how do we go through that process? And to be fair, if we both did the same thing, we should get the same consequence, the way I see it, said board member Paul Wagaman. And I think that's how most children in playgrounds like to see it. Most of us as citizens in our community like to see it that way, that it's equal. Wagaman added that the board had yet to discuss and debate the policy in depth until we, the 5 of us, have discussed all these definitions at work. Until we do that, I think we are negligent to send this forward, Wagaman said. The other dissenting board member, Dave Anderson, agreed that the terms of the policy needed to be debated further, citing Valise's earlier question, which he argued was indicative that the board was not fully prepared to move forward because terms appear not to be defined. Anderson then cited the district's standard operating procedures, which he said stated, no decision will solve any problem without fully understanding the situation and the analysis of the facts. The Clover Park District told the national desk of KMO that it is committed to providing a world-class education for students while fostering a safe, inclusive learning environment, adding that its new policy is based off a model policy from the Washington State School Directors Association and is aligned with state law. The district pointed to legislation which it said notes that students of color experience disproportionate rates of exclusionary discipline and is correlated with a negative school climate. Students feeling disconnected from their school, reduced graduation rates, and increased involvement with the Juvenile Justice Department. We have high standards for student behavior, the district said, and it is in the intention of the school board that the disciplinary policy and procedure be implemented in a manner that supports a positive school climate, maximizes instructional time, and increases equitable educational opportunities, most of which is boilerplate BS from the failed academy. If they go through with it, it sounds like a white kid and a black kid commit the same offense in school. It sounds like the white kid, you got to take his culture into consideration, and perhaps the black child had a more difficult cultural environment, so therefore you punish the white kid more than you punish the black kid.
And then saying what? The black child is less than.
It's less than.
This is an outrage.
It's incredible. It's just incredible.
And wouldn't you love to
These
attend?
people are committed to not let racial inequity disappear.
No.
They're committed to it.
It's their industry now. Can you imagine attending that school board meeting?
Well, you know what? This is shades of what we've talked about happening here. This has happened here.
Oh, Roseville. Was it
A
Roseville?
kid acts up. Why don't you go in the gym and shoot baskets for 20 minutes? No serious discipline.
By the way, you know why KOMO was recently on this show?
I don't.
Seattle is Dying.
Oh, that's right.
They were the creators of that documentary.
Right. But it's a real story. It's not a fake story. I thought it was a fake story.
It'd be fun and interesting to talk to kids about this. Get some 11th graders on the phone and interview them, because they always have the true perspective on what race relations are like in school, or what relations between straight and gays and trans are like in school, and what's the great word that adults like to use? Not integration, but
Equity?
Well, no, it was pre-equity.
Inclusivity?
Yeah.
See, my great hope is that the kids...
Diversity.
Yeah. My great hope is that the kids get along for the most part.
Well,
and this is being driven by adults who are determined to not let racial divides disappear.
Yeah.